Since that my last two videos about keyboards did really well compared to my other uploads about anime and games, today we're going to do a bit of both. I'll be modding this RK68 Plus. I got this months ago. I think I got it for about $30 or something. If I remember correctly, it was a sale of May of 2022. I kind of forgot about it, but yeah, I bought it in hopes of modding it. Now, if you're here for a review of this board, this ain't it, chief. I won't be reviewing this. This video is strictly for modding. Also, this is not a modding guide if you're expecting to get engineering levels of upgrades and knowledge. This also ain't it. This is just a documentation of how I modded mine, and I'm by no means an expert. I'm just a dude with a camera sharing his experiences. Okay, let's begin. So, what are my goals for this mod? Well, to be perfectly honest with you, after KBD fans released the laser tofu, I kinda wanted to build one that reflects light with a rainbow sheen on it, or chameleon paint, or neochrome finish, whatever side you're on. Basically, it's a gradient colored keyboard that looks really cool. Now, I want this as a working display piece that would look awesome in a shelf. Yes, we're at that point, ladies and gentlemen. From snapping two racks together, we evolved to putting keyboards for display. But yeah, that's the goal, but cheaper. Plus, I saw this post from Reddit with the same idea. Not gonna lie, the black keycaps on the chameleon finish looks really nice. We will yoink that color pattern for ourselves and make it our own. The only difference that we're going to do is that instead of doing a simple body color, we will be going two-tone, black and chameleon. Now, this keyboard has an advantage of having a lip that would, in a way, make the chameleon color pop and emboss a little bit better than the bottom part of the case, which in a way makes the two-tone color we are planning for work. I think. You see, I'm not very bright, but we will try. With that out of the way, let's begin with this assembly. The top cover of this keyboard can be snapped out easily without any screws, which sounds good in paper, but to us, that's going to be a problem. Since we are planning on painting everything, having two painted plastics rub against each other is going to be a nightmare. But since the point of contact or the point where it locks is hidden underneath, that's a minimal problem, since I don't plan on removing the cover once it's in there. But do take note if you're planning to get this exact keyboard and modding it. I'm gonna use a hairdryer to heat up and easily remove the stickers and the rubber bumpers. Here is the PCB for the keyboard nerds. Here is the bottom part of the case. As you can see, it's very roomy with a lot of holes to work on. I can see people filling it up with foam, but in our case, I'll fill it with coins for a much more solid body. Also, I failed to mention that I will be removing the battery from this thing entirely and will make it a wired-only keyboard. Calm down, I know a lot of you already raging in the comment sections about its features, but remember, I got this for a bargain. I don't really care or know its features back when I got it, so the wireless feature is just a bonus. And if I can remove it, I will remove it. I have an undying hate for batteries. I take care of all of my stuff, like legitimately, I treat my gadgets like my children. But the one thing that always breaks with any of my stuff is the battery. For example, my FreeBuds 3, battery issue. Two of my laptops, battery issue. This phone, battery died. My tablet, the battery swelled. Another laptop battery, dead. And the list goes on. I got betrayed way back in 2010 when I still got my PSP, and to be honest with you, I don't believe what any company says about the longevity of their batteries. But yeah, in short, I hate batteries. Like, if there's an option to remove it, I will. Like, imagine dealing with that battery when it meets its maker 7 years down the line. Now, before we paint, I need to put in a few holes in the cover and in the case, since I'm planning on adding some badge and some straps on it, just to make it unique and make it mine, if you get what I mean. Plus, adding some gold colored badge on it makes it a little bit more exotic and rare, you know? Plus, the badge that I'm adding is on the theme as well. It's the Shogun's hairpin, based on her favorite flowers. From what I've read online, the flowers are based on Kikyo flowers, which symbolizes eternal love, elegance, and royalty. Hence the purple. Also, did you know purple represents royalty? Because back in history, purple is a really rare color. Wait, I haven't talked about what theme we will base this on, right? Anyways, yeah, it's based on the Genshin character, Raiden Shogun. If you're curious on where I got this, just look up Genshin hairpins and you'll probably see some. They cost about $1 each or less. I'll also be adding this cool Japanese looking strap because I'm a weeb, and I'll also be making a small fabric cover for it that also has the same fabric, so that it matches. Anyways, watch how I destroy this case. The hairpin is a little bit bigger for the badge and it has interference issues with the enter key. So instead of cutting the pin, we will bend it a little bit upwards. Nothing like a good pliers in a vice grip can't do. See? Fits like a glove. I will only be using Scotch-Brite for roughing up the surface. Reason being is that I'm sure that the primer that I will use can adhere to just about anything and stay. I've been using this thing for years and it hasn't failed me yet. To put into perspective, I will use this cheap can over any Grey Hobby paints that I use in my models. And this bottle costs about 7 times this can if we are talking about quantity. The primer works wonders and the only prep it needs is a rough surface. This is the answer for those people asking me why I didn't use sandpaper on my last video. Since we're on the topic of paints, here is what we are going to use. For primer, we will use this, the one that I'm just talking about. For the base, we will be using this matte black from Samurai. Having a black as a base is important when it comes to chameleon stuff like this, so if you want to experiment, go with a different base. But for our project right now, I want the contrast with black, so we will go with black. For the clear coat, we will be using the same brand that I already got. I know a lot of people are having issues with clear coats going yellowish over time, but since I won't really be going in it too thick with this and the colors are darker, I highly doubt we will get any yellowish results. I can also use my Tamiya clear coat for a surefire way to get transparency, but that would be an expensive venture. Plus, I'm not sure how Tamiya Paints handles finger oils. So again, we will go back to what we know and stick to what we know. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you how I paint the actual boards because I don't have the space for it and it will be a hassle to film the whole process. So we will just do the interval thingy like the last time. This is about 2 layers of primer and 1 day drying time. This is about 3 layers of black base coat with about 2 days of drying time. I use a different black paint for the bottom case since I feel like a single can isn't gonna cut it for this project. So I saved the good samurai can for the top cover. This is about 3 layers of chameleon paint with 2 days drying time. Now, the only thing that's missing is the clear coat and we will be set. If you're curious on how chameleon paints work, they are mostly transparent with a hint of purple and pink. It's like those plastic holofilm you get on your Pokemon cards. I'll link a video in the description that also uses the one that I'm using so that you'll have a general idea on how magical and easy it is to use. This is 2 layers of clear coat with 2 days drying time. I use a matte coating for the bottom case since we're going with a two-tone. The contrast between the glossy finish and the matte finish will work to our advantage. Also, I use a little bit of the chameleon paint on the plate even though we are gonna cover it with foam later. It's like one burst of spray just to get a little bit of color on it. The whole painting process took me about a week. If you are wondering why I dry my paint for so long, the answer to that is my climate. I live in a very humid or cold environment, plus it's raining season right now so the paint doesn't dry all the way through. Don't get me wrong, I can paint it all over in a single day and it will probably be fine. But from my experience, I would rather wait than be greedy. I've botched a lot of painting jobs in the past from being too excited to spray again, and I've learned my lesson. I would rather do it nice than do it twice. I'll be using this painter's tape for general purpose modding and as a stabilizer pad. Does it work? I don't know, but I saw it being used like this in the other groups that I've been in. I'll also be using a double-sided foam tape to recreate the foam layer or the silicone layer similar to that of the premium boards on the market. It's that thingy you sandwich between the plate and the PCB. Now, originally I was planning on using this shoe foam tape. It's cheap, it's soft, and it looks like it will work. I was planning on putting it on the PCB itself, but I got hit by a truck when I realized on how hard it is to cut and how sticky it is. So in the end, I scrapped this foam tape and stick to the double-sided foam tape, which is much more easier to work with. Yeah, it looks like a kindergarten field school project. I know what it looks like, alright? Nobody's gotta see it. I also filled the bottom case with coins. Since there are laws about damaging currency, I can't really show you how I stacked it, but I used a hot glue gun then filled the entire bottom case with coins. I didn't damage anything. After that, I covered it with the black electrical tape, just in case the coin touches the PCB. It's super heavy right now, it's like 6 times the weight. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can kill someone with this now. I'll also be doing the tape behind the PCB thingy. I think it's called the Tempest mod or something. Don't be stupid like me who added it way too early. I'll also be doing a regular mods like clipping the stabs and lubing the inside with Krytox and dipping the stabs in Permatex. After that, we will hot glue the stubs behind the plate. Now I know this is super crude and janky, but trust me, this method will delete your stab house wiggle problem 100% guaranteed. For adding the badge, we first need to cover the surface, just in case the epoxy that we will be using is spread the glue residue and we don't want that ruining our paint. We will use metal filled epoxy. We normally use it on cars and it has heat resistant properties. It also dries very fast and the box says it dries like a steel. If it's good enough for cars, I bet it's good enough for keyboards. We will also be adding this foam thingy on the plate since it's cheap, similar to that of the PCB, which I failed to mention earlier. They are both really cheap and you can buy a bunch of them. Not sure if it works though, but it's better than nothing, right? I did say I will make a fabric cover for it, so here it is. For context, I don't know how to use this thing, but I do know the basics. I bet the people who know how to sew are cringing at me right now. Sorry guys, I legit don't know. It went bad, but for catching dust, it's good enough. I also added a strap with similar design. The strap is pre-made locally, I think. I just had to Google it and there it was. For the people asking why I added a strap, here is your answer from iPatchWolf.
Check out this one shot where we get this close-up of her sword hilt, and to it, she's attached a collection of phone charms. Phone charms originated as a part of Japanese street fashion, and usually attached to, of course, a phone. A piece of technology that will be the most important thing to the majority of teenagers as it connects them to their peers and the world around them. But Shinobu instead has attached the charms to her sword as opposed to her phone, which I think creates this great visual metaphor for both her innocence as a young girl and the danger she presents as a hired assassin.
Does the strap even work? Yeah, it does. I don't know, I just love straps on my boards. My RK68 also has a strap. I think 3 of my boards has a strap. For the final build, I'll keep it with the Akko crystals, which I salvaged from my Akko Alice, but I'll also be doing a sound test with the browns and Catron yellows. I'm generous like that. The keycaps that I'll be using is the power cord clones. I think the keycaps were meant to be black, but since the print quality is not all that good, it's kinda like purple-ish black, which is perfect for our needs. And of course, it has a Japanese sub-legends. I have an anime profile picture, do you really need to ask? We will also be adding this resin keycap, which also has the purple flowers on it with the electro symbol. I forgot where I got it, but I'll put the name here if I manage to find it. We will be adding this 2x2 relegendable keycaps since it's the hip thing nowadays, and that's pretty much it. Anyways, here is the final product. Just please keep your expectations at bay. Anyways, this build took me about 3 months to make, from planning to actually finishing the thing. It was fun and frustrating at the same time.